put the sod in. Of course, this is the baseball field the Minnesota Twins use, and the field should be very slippery. It rained a lot this week. It's a beautiful day today, but that's the sand that they've used. It's going to be a very slippery turf.
All right, let's take a look now at the field as the teams are coming on. The Vikings have won the toss, and so the Detroit Lions there will be kicking off. Vikings will be defending the north goal. And the officials here this afternoon, referee Red Cashin, the umpire Art Dummets, the headlinesman Ed Marion, the line judge Jack Fetty, the back judge is John Fouch, and the field judge is Bill Kingset. Mickemeyer, Steve Mickemeyer will kick it off for the Detroit Lions. Sanford Moore has been added to the Viking squad, and he's back there center deep. On the receiving team, Sanford Moore, formerly of Oakland, receives into the end zone. He's got his 5-yard lead. He's out to the goal line 5. Sanford Moore to the 10 to the 15. Throws it through the 22-yard line. So the Minnesota Vikings have it there. Walt Williams is downfield to make the tackle. And the offense, Riley Goodrum single out. We saw that target in McClanahan Foreman. First down and 10 yards to go. Ball is at the 22-yard line. And targeted brings him up. He's 57 for 97, 589 yards of percentage completions, 58.8. 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Handing it out to McClanahan. Brent McClanahan tries the left side. Fires up there for a yard or so, and he is stopped by Herb Orvis and Doug English. English on the tackle. Brought it. Sanders, Orvis, English, and Price starting over there in place of Mitchell. On the other end. That's a gain of 1. Dumoff, Laslovic, and Weaver. Veteran linebacking crew for Detroit.
Well, they got great reaction in those linebackers. It's a strong point of this defense, I think.
Foreman and McClanahan are the setbacks. 44 and 33. Targeted with his first pass. Taken by Rashad. Went out at the 30-yard line.
That's the 8th catch of the year for Ahmad Rashad, and unusually so because he's only caught one pass for over 8 yards. They've been using one of those little quick square outs. And I'll tell you one thing, Lindsay, if the Detroit Lion defense is going to back off of those cornerbacks and you keep giving a guy like Tarkenton that short 5- and 6-yard pass, one thing about it, he's going to take it.
Third down, 2.5 yards to go. Third, 2.5 to go. Shanahan and Foreman for Tarkenton. This one is complete to White. Sammy White took it. How did he get to the 6? Looks as though he's right there.
What a year he had last year. NFC's Rookie of the Year, everybody's Rookie of the Year, Tarkenton. Great addition he's been for that young man. White, great pass receiver. Already caught one touchdown pass. It's going to be a first down on the square out pattern.
First and 10 down. It's just short of the 34-yard line. Game time temperature 47 degrees. Wind from the southwest at 7 miles per hour. The humidity 83%. Bill Foreman and McClanahan, the split running backs. Foreman. And Chuck Foreman gets it through there for about 4 or 5 yards. Paul Newmoff made the stop.
End zone shot here. That's Charlie Weaver, number 59, faking the blitz. Just a little cross blocking up front. You see Ron Yeri coming over, giving a little help. Foreman picked up about 4.
Gain of 4.
No score. We're in the first quarter. The game has just begun, and the field is soft and muddy right there. The Vikings did not practice here because they wanted to try to keep the field in shape, but the rain soaked through the tarp or through the seams, and the field is considerably wet from recent rain. That is McClanahan. Eyeing up to the 39-yard line, gain of about a yard. Hand and Orvis made the stop.
Second quarter score, the Philadelphia Eagles 21, New York 7. Ron Jaworski, a couple touchdown passes for Philadelphia, and an 80-yard Joe Pisarcik pass to Jimmy Robinson got New York on the board.
Third down and 6 yards to go.
Lindsay, I want to caution one thing. The Vikings, have seen them so much. When they split the backfield, they like to go with their backs out of the backfield.
Pop this one to Rashad. He's got a first and 10 at the 50-yard line. Cornerback was Walt Williams.
Walt Williams defending. That's a Viking first down.
I mentioned that earlier. If Walt Williams is going to play off of Ahmad Rashad and give him that much yardage, and if he doesn't have a zone defense to help him out on that side, Lindsey, that turnout's going to be open, and Tarkin is going to take advantage of it.
Fran Tarkin, a 17-year man, an All-American quarterback at the University of Georgia under the late coach Wally Butt.
He's throwing to a guy, Sammy White. He's lined up in the slot now. When Sammy White was 7 years old, Tarkin was still with the Vikings.
Tarkin 3 for 3, going long this time to Rashad. Rashad from Tarkin and Lim Barney wrestling him to the turf along with James Hunter.
Here it is again. Ahmad Rashad was kind of under wraps the first 3 games, but here Tarkinen goes back. Good pass protection. He's going to find Rashad for his 3rd reception of the day. 37-yard catch on, see the slippery turf? That was 20, Lim Barney slipping.
First and 10.
Again, watch Lim Barney slip here on this slippery turf. Oh, Rashad almost got away for 6.
First and 10 at the 13-yard line. First quarter, no score. Tried to delay here to Foreman. He slipped as he hit the line of scrimmage. Might have picked up a yard to make it 2nd and 9 at the 12 as Doug English, 3-year veteran from the University of Texas, came to make the stop.
Oh, the Vikings starting quick. Tarkin 4 out of 4 for 58 yards. 3 of those receptions going to Rashad for 54 out of the 58 yards. He's thrown to Ahmad Rashad.
Weatherman says the temperature likely will range from the 47 at kickoff to a high of 55 for the day, but it's bright and sunny. 10 minutes, 50 seconds left to play in the first quarter. There is no score. Foreman's on the left set. McClanahan's on the right set. Rashad part of the right, and White's on the slot right. Targeted. Going to White. Sammy White. Touchdown.
Oh, what a beautiful move, and what a great pass, Lindsey. Fran Tarkinen had his eye on Sammy White all the way. The Vikings go 77 yards in 9 plays. Look at this pass protection. And watch Fran look over the field. Beautiful pass. And downfield, cutting for the flag, as they call it, a flag pattern, is Sammy White for his 2nd touchdown pass of the year.
Coming into the ballgame now, Fred Cox playing in his 200th consecutive game, only the 7th man in the history of the National Football League to do that. He missed 2 last week. 1 was blocked, 1 was missed. He's 3 for 5 on extra points. Krause puts it down. Cox boots it up, and it's good. And so the Minnesota Vikings have drawn first blood. 10 minutes, 36 seconds remain to be played in the first quarter, and the Vikings are leading by a score of 7-0.
Introducing the Ford in your future, the new Ford Fairmont. A new car designed for today and the years ahead. At 33 miles per gallon highway, 23 city, Fairmont has the highest mileage ratings in its class. Yet it has 90% of the head, leg, and shoulder room of most large cars. And base sticker prices for the Fairmont line start at just $35.89. Fairmont, roomy but with mileage like a small car, and the lowest sticker price in its class. Test drive Fairmont, the newest, better idea from Ford.
Ever wonder what happens to the money you keep in your checking and savings accounts? Let me show you. Some of it's here in town, put to work helping people change things for the better, like buying a new car or starting a new business. Your money's working, yet all the while, it's there when you need it, in a safe, convenient place. America's Bankers, helping you change things for the better.
And CBS is delighted to be back at Bloomington, Minnesota for this afternoon's game. Cox will kick off now for the Vikings. Center deep is Rick Kane to receive the kickoff for the Detroit Lions. These teams came in with identical records of 2 wins and 1 loss each. Each lost its opener. Minnesota lost in overtime to Dallas, and Detroit lost 30-20 to the Chicago Bears. Kane moves up. He's got it at the 10. He's at the 15-yard line, the 20, the 25. Kane to the 30, and he powers across near the 33-yard line. It was Phil Wise downfield to make the stop. So the Detroit Lions, with Greg Landry at quarterback, have the ball. He's 43 for 71, 60.6%. 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. The offensive line for Detroit. They lost Rocky Freitas. Surgery on Monday.
That's a big loss. Not only in size, but the way he plays.
Luther Blue, Ray Jarvis, Charlie Sanders are the receivers in there just now. Blue is more on the right side, Jarvis to the left side. Taken
Jim
by
Marshall.
Horace King, and Jim Marshall was there.
18 years in the league from Ohio State.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited. David Hill and Charlie Sanders, both in there now. Two tight ends. Second down play. Landry throws. Diving catch at the 34-yard line. Taken by Charlie Sanders. Charlie didn't have a catch last week against the Eagles. Jeff Wright was the defender.
Well, he played his college football right here in the Minneapolis area, the University of Minnesota, and he's been one of the great tight ends. Leads all line receivers in number of catches. Broke that record against New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
It is third down and 8 yards to go, and the ball is just short of the 35-yard line. Jarvis to the left side. Horace King is the lone setback. Greg Landry slipped as he started to set up, and he is stopped. Back at the 25-yard line.
And therein lies the problem for Greg Landry. Even though he's ranked number 1 in the NFL in passing, he's been sacked already 15 times this year. Detroit also led in that dubious department last year.
Doug Sutherland got to it.
I'm going to say, Lindsey, they've got to have better pass protection, especially when your offense with that double tight end situation has been so successful for Detroit in the first 3 games.
Hanford Moore back there to receive the punt of Wilbur Summers, who has averaged 38.5 per kick this year for the Detroit Lions.
5th line punter this year.
They've run a few through there. Long, high, spiraling kick. Manfred Moore retreats and takes it at the 30-yard line.
He's got some room.
To the 41-yard line. Manfred Moore was stopped by Rick Kane, and so now the Vikings get it 1st and 10. They get it at their own 41-yard line. A 45-yard punt for Wilbur Summers. In the first quarter, the Vikings are leading by a score of 7-0.
Inside this new Firestone radial tire is an improved steel cord with 5 million miles of developmental testing. Where once we used 5 strands, we now use 10 strands of steel. 7 around 2, wrapped by 1. A cord construction so important, Firestone named the tire for it. 7, 2, 1. The new steel-belted radial 721. Now, from Firestone.
Schlitz wants you to have a ball. Pass the word, pass the word.
Hey, now's the time to pick up plenty of Schlitz.
Pass the word, pass the word, pass the word.
Because the Schlitz football offer is here. Look for this display at participating stores and save up to $5 on an official Wilson football. Come on.
Pick up Schlitz and have a ball. Pass the word, pass the word, pass the Schlitz.
Now Mondays are out of this world as Logan's Run moves into a new time. Logan's Run with all the impact of Star Wars tomorrow at 8, 7 Central in Mountain Time. We're in the first quarter here at Bloomington, Minnesota, and the Vikings are leading 7-0 with the ball 1st and 10 at their own 41-yard line. Quarterback is dropping back. Take a look. And simply got rid of it. It's incomplete. Everybody covered. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 41-yard line.
He was 5 for 5, and of course the experience of Fran Tarkenton. Everybody's covered. He threw it out of bounds. Some quick scores, Lindsey. Steve Grogan has thrown 2 touchdown passes. New England 14, Seattle nothing first quarter. Oakland, Earl Mann 3 field goals. They lead Cleveland in the second quarter 9-3. Baltimore and Miami, 2 unbeatens going at it today. They're tied up 7-7 first quarter. And San Diego's take a 7-0 lead over New Orleans. 88-yard punt return by Mike Fuller.
Detroit Lions are in a 5-2. They've got Price, Hand, English, Forbes, and Sanders up there as a front 5. Dropping back is Tarkenton. And it is complete to right side across the 50-yard line, and he comes back. Now it's White. White's got the football at the 30, 25, 20. White to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Sammy White. Oh, boy.
Oh, he improvised that one. That wasn't a planned play, ladies and gentlemen. Sammy White goes in on a lateral from Ahmad Rashad for his second touchdown. Now watch, Lindsey. We got Sammy White lined up in the slot. Marking it. He's 5 out of 6. Comes back, finds his man open. Now this is Rashad on a turn-in. Now watch the lateral coming up here. Ooh, that was a quick lateral, wasn't it? Here we got it again. There's Sammy White. He's on the square out. Right here. Take it, pal. I don't want it. I'm going out of bounds. And White goes in.
He took it 59 yards. Cross puts it down. Cox boots it up, and it's good. So, with 8 minutes, 18 seconds remaining to be played in the first quarter, the Minnesota Vikings have struck twice, and they are leading you by a score of 14-0.
Should have bought Mobil 1. The oil, it saves you gas, you know.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Helps you start at 35 below.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Engine temperature hits 500. You're cool.
Should have bought Mobil 1. You only change it every 15,000 miles.
Mobil 1, the oil that does it all. Take it from an expert.
You get to be the superstar in rent-a-car when you've got the kind of people who can get things ready, even before you get there. Hertz has more of them than anyone. People who want to get their job done fast and who can put out that extra effort when things get busy.
Go, Hertz, go.
People who know the most important thing is getting each customer away fast into a reliable Ford or other fine car. Come to Hertz.
The superstar in rent-a-car.
You know it.
Johnny Cash is your host for the 11th Annual Country Music Awards, live from the Grand Ole Opry, tomorrow night at 9:30, 8:30 Central and Mountain.
Fred Cox will kick it off now for the Minnesota Vikings. Rick Kane is center deep, flanked by Leonard Thompson and Andy Bolton for the Detroit Lions. Over to Andy Bolton, side of the field. He muffs it, picks it up at the 10-yard line. Gets back to the 12, stops at the 15-yard line. So the Lions get the ball, but they get it deep in their own territory.
I'm going to tell you, that is a planned kick. Freddie Cox does not kick the ball long on kickoff, so he's perfected that low line drive kick, keeping it on the ground and hoping that the receiver will do exactly that, fumble the football, and you see where they have it at the 15.
We told you Cox is playing his 200th consecutive game today. Only 7 men in NFL history have done that, and 3 of them are on this team.
Right.
Jim Marshall is one, Mick Tingelhoff is one, and Freddie Cox is one. 1st and 10 now for the Detroit Lions at the 15-yard line. Horace King is the lone setback in this double tight end alignment. Greg Landry is the quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Here's the pitch to Horace King. Gets it out there to the 17-yard line before Jim Marshall came in to make the tackle.
Good pursuit by Jim Marshall here. They've almost got a 9-man front, is what this amounts to. 7 men on the line of scrimmage, double tight end. Everybody's blocking. That's Horace King on the left side. Now watch the great pursuit by Jim Marshall.
Bollinger, number 73, leading the play through. 2nd down play coming now for the Detroit Lions.
2nd and 8 for the Lions.
They're doubling Luther Blue and Jarvis to the right side. Horace King still the lone setback. Horace King again, a penalty marker on the play. King got up to the 19-yard line. Alan Page, an 11-year veteran from Notre Dame, made the stop.
First quarter score, Miami has gone in front of Baltimore 14-7. A 52-yard run by Benny Malone. Boy, Don Shula's got Miami humming this year.
Illegal motion against the Detroit Lions, and that'll be a 5-yard penalty. And some alignments with a double tight end, which they call a double Y, they don't have any setbacks.
Number 68, Detroit in motion, declined, 3rd down.
Mark Markovich, the right guard, was in motion. It's declined, according to referee Red Cashin, and he's the man in charge.
3rd and 7 for the Lions at their 18.
3rd down and 7 yards to go. At the 18 as the ball is spotted.
Vikings are very happy to have Matt Blair back on their left linebacker position. He's a perennial all-pro in the future, I think, Lindsey. He's got great reaction, great size, 6'5". Had a knee problem, but he's all right now.
Well, it's a sliding grab. Ray Jarvis, and it's completed at the 26-yard line.
He beat Bobby Brown on the left side. A little square out pattern. Landry right on target. Good pass protection this time by Detroit. Here's the square out pattern. You'll see Jarvis slip there. As we talked about it earlier, Lindsay, this field is really slippery.
They worked on it before the ball game as best they could to try to get it dried out a little bit. The infield area down at the other end of the field. The infield area during baseball season has been sided, and that may be the best part of the field today. 1st and 10 at the 26. Henry taken to the right side by Luther Blue.
Landry's pass complete to Luther Blue.
Both teams just seem to be giving the flankers a little bit more room. Maybe that's because of the field, Lindsay. This is Luther Blue on a square out. And you can see he fights for a little extra yardage, tackled by Nate Wright.
2nd and short now for the Detroit Lions. Minnesota leading by a score of 14-0, and we have 6 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in the first quarter.
2nd and 1 for the Lions at their 35.
Dexter Bussey is the lone setback here. Set it up in a wing right. There's Bussey carrying. Upended by Nate Wright.
You know, every year they keep talking about the Vikings getting old on defense, and when guys like Eller and Marshall, Wally Hilgenberg, 14 years in the league, Paul Krause, 14 years in the league. Going into this ball game, Lindsay, the Viking defense had allowed only 32 first downs, and that's tops in the NFL, tied with the Rams.
Clipping against the Detroit Lions on that last play. So Red Cashin, the referee, starts to step it off against the Lions.
Another tough penalty for Detroit. That's hurt him this year.
Number 73, Detroit, Clipping.
Russ Bollinger clipping, and that puts it back near the 19-yard line. Still 2nd down. 2nd and 17.
Second down and 17 for the Lions at their 19.
Horace King's the lone setback here for Greg Landry. Landry up the middle, and it is caught by David Hill. That's an advance to the sticks for a first down.
If you've been following the Detroit Lions, you know this year they've been going with a double tight end situation, both Charlie Sanders and David Hill. And Tommy Hudson, the coach, says they're the best 2 athletes we have on the team. We've got to play them. Here's David Hill catching a crossing pattern for the first down. Picked up about 19.
Detroit Lions. Then Jarvis to the right side. Luther Blue's going over there as well. Leave this one on the ground to Horace King. Got it up there just about to the 39 before Jeff Seaman and Doug Sutherland made the stop.
Baltimore has added a field goal now to cut the Dolphins' margin to 4 points. It's Miami 14, Baltimore 10, still first quarter.
Plus, the linebackers are hopeful that they can get Lawrence Gaines back in that lineup before too much longer. He is still off the active list with the knee injury from which he is recovering. On the draw play and in the heavy going of the mud, it's Horace King with not much a loss on the play. Matt Blair there.
I was going to say, Lindsay, he lost his footing, but Matt Blair was right there. He keyed right on that draw play. You know, Detroit has made 64 first downs coming into this ball game. That's also tops in the NFL, and are going against the top defensive team against the rush as far as first downs are concerned.
3rd down and 10 yards to go. Horace King is the lone setback. Landry. It's incompleted forward pass. Charlie Sanders out there. You saw the referee look to the linesman to see whether or not it was lateral, in which case it would have been a free ball, or a forward, in which case it was incomplete, and that was it.
Well, you know the turf is loose when the quarterbacks have a hard time setting up. Here's Landry going back. Boy, got pressure from the outside. I think they had a little blitz situations on. He tries to dump it off to his safety man, Sanders, on the outside. He slipped, but it was a forward pass, incomplete.
Wilbur Summers back in deep punt formation, and Manfred Moore has dropped back center deep to field the punt for the Minnesota Vikings. Summers puts it up. Manfred Moore calls for a fair catch, and he makes it at his own 28-yard line, and that's where the Vikings start 1st and 10. We have 3 minutes 52 seconds remaining to be played in the first quarter. Minnesota Vikings struck twice early in the ball game, and they're leading here by a score of 14-0 on a sunny day in Bloomington, Minnesota.
Are you still chained to? Gotcha. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor lets you walk away, free from nicks and cuts. Its 36 surgical steel rotary razor blades are safely protected inside 3 floating heads to give you a comfortable shave that's razor close, razor smooth, for up to 3 weeks on a single charge. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor. It lets you walk away from gotcha.
Introducing a new 1978 Ford Granada, the ESS. Can you tell it from this impressive $20,000 Mercedes 280 SE? Granada. Mercedes. Granada. Mercedes. Granada. Mercedes. The new Ford Granada ESS. See how close you can come to the look of a $20,000 Mercedes at the price of a Granada. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
They take their football seriously here in Bloomington, Minnesota. Metropolitan Stadium seats 48,446, and it's usually full. Fran Tarkenton brings them up now, 1st and 10. At their own 29-yard line, McClanahan and Foreman are the setbacks. 480. Brings it out there to McClanahan. 30, 35, fumble. In the mud. Detroit got the ball. Detroit got the ball. It is Charlie West. Charlie West got it, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Detroit Lions.
Here's Fran Tarkenton going back, completing his 7th pass out of 8 attempts there. This picks up 10 yards, so he's got a 139-yard passing, but McClanahan cannot hold the handle on it. And Charlie West, who played safety and cornerback here for these Minnesota Vikings, comes up with it against his former mates.
It is just short of the 39-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Horace King, the lone setback, wide receivers left and right for the Detroit Lions. David Hill outside left. Greg Landry. Going long, and it is incomplete. Trying to get it to J.D. Hill, who did not start today because of an injury, but that is J.D.
Landry's pass intended for J.D. Hill.
Vikings in their famed zone defense that time. Paul Krause, who plays deeper than Willie Mays ever played center field, Lindsey. He just gets back there about 25 yards, drops back a few steps, just watches the quarterback and plays it free.
And he's been doing it for so many years.
14 to be exact.
Dexter Bussey. Set back in this alignment now, 2nd and 10 at the 39-yard line.
Pass.
It is thrown by David Hill, and it is incomplete. Intended for J.D. Hill, from hill to hill, but a couple of Vikings in between. Paul Krause is back there, and so is Jeff Seaman.
Krause doesn't much care to protect the run too much. His main job is a pass. A little end around here with David Hill, who could throw the football. Fake to the fullback. They give it to Hill around the right side. That's Markovich pulling. He's got good time. He didn't act out the run too good, Lindsey. Now, here is almost the interception. Paul Krause goes up for it. That's Nate right there. And pretty good collision.
Third down and 10 yards to go. Greg Landry. It's just as he unloaded it. He was unloaded just as he got rid of the football. It was Alan Page.
Landry is knocked down by Alan Page. It is 4th down.
At the end of the first quarter, Green Bay and Cincinnati are scoreless. And Houston has taken an early first quarter lead over Pittsburgh on a 47-yard pass from Dan Pastorini to Ken Burrow.
Bud Grant, head coach of these Minnesota Vikings. Wilbur Summers will drop back into deep punt formation here. Manfred Moore is center deep to field it for the Minnesota Vikings.
We haven't seen this ploy too much, Lindsey, but look how Minnesota's return men are over in the coffin corner, hoping to prevent that and try to get a little run back.
Well, he hangs it up. Manfred Moore calls for a fair catch. Makes it at the 23-yard line. First and 10 for the Vikings at their 23.
17-yard punt.
Well, the CBS Sports Spectacular coming up next Saturday at 4:30 has a little something for everybody.
I tell you, they've got one race, Jockey Club Gold Cup, $300,000 added. One of the great races in the fall, Triple Crown.
And the Chinishi Cup highlights of the highly acclaimed competition of Nadia Comaneci and Nellie Kim of the Soviet Union.
Oh, what great performances they gave us in the Olympics. They'll be right here on the Sports Spectacular.
First down and 10 yards to go. Foreman is carrying. Stopped by Charlie Weaver, the right outside linebacker. Chuck Foreman came in with 177 yards rushing, 3.2 per carry, and 1 touchdown. Last year, he tied in the number of touchdowns scored with Franco Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had 14 each.
He's the big play back, Lindsey. He's the guy that they count on for the tough yardage to come up with the big play. And I really think that 5 years ago when they drafted him out of the University of Miami, he was probably Minnesota's greatest draft choice, maybe considering Fran Tarkenton in that first year in the expansion. And what 5 years he's had.
Second down, 11 yards to go. Shanahan in motion outside. Fran Tarkenton. And it's Rashad, and it's complete, and it's a first down. Ahmad Rashad. Jim Laslovic, little linebacker there.
Here it is, Rashad on a turn-in again. This is his 5th catch of the afternoon. He only caught 7 coming in the first 3 games. Boy, Fran, he's really working on that defensive right side for Detroit. Wide open.
So it is first down, 10 yards to go at the 35-yard line.
He's hit 2 square outs over there, Lindsey, and 2 turn-in patterns.
Detroit Lions have not done well on the road. They have won only 2 of their last 13 road games. Shanahan and Foreman struggling about just short of the 40-yard line by Doug English. 3-year veteran from the University of Texas, had a great game last week. Second down and 6 yards to go. The last 10 times that the Detroit Lions have played here, they had 8 losses, 1 win, and 1 tie.
Second and 6 for the Vikings at their 40.
Vikings are leading 14-0. We have 1 minute 10 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Shanahan and Foreman for Tarkenton.
There it is again.
Complete to Rashad again.
Incomplete. It's incomplete. I don't think he had control of the football over there. Number 21, Walt Williams, hit him just as the ball reached his hands, and they called it incomplete.
And the catch was not in bounds, and so call it an incompletion and make it 3rd and 6 at the 39.
I'd say it's a pretty good first quarter for Fran, wouldn't you, Linz? 8 out of 10 for 150 yards. 5 of those completions going to Rashad for 77.
In his 17th year, Fran Tarkenton.
3rd and 6 for the Vikings.
Went away to New York for a stint with the Giants and came back to Minnesota. Foreman and McClanahan evened up as running back. They're in a slot right. That's Sam White in the slot. Sammy White incomplete. Sammy White incomplete, and that'll bring on the punting unit from Minnesota Vikings. Tommy Hudspeth, head coach. He took over during the season last year from Rick Forzano and was hired during the offseason to continue as head coach of these Detroit Lions. Neil Claybo is coming to do the punting. 3-year veteran from the University of Tennessee. He's averaged 39 yards. Dick Geron, former great running back at Yale University, is back there to receive it. 58 seconds left in the quarter. Claybo gets it off. Geron makes the catch. Fair catch at the 23. So it'll be first down and 10 yards to go for the Detroit Lions.
You know, Lindsey, maybe Minnesota's thinking coming into this ball game and said, let's just go out and throw the football. Probably looking at the films, they figured they had a better chance throwing the football against that defense. And Target has done an excellent job of 150 yards here in the first quarter. Detroit, on the other hand, I don't think was expecting this kind of a field. This is a tough field to run on, and that's what they've been relying on with 614 yards rushing coming in.
Greg Landry has them up there now, 1st and 10. Even up the running backs, that's Bussey and King. It's as far as King, 210-pounder. Moves it up to the 29-yard line. Jeff Seaman and Fred McNeil made the stop.
And watch Dexter Bussey. You see 25 Horace King go over in the fullback slot. Watch the halfback's block on the linebacker. He doesn't knock him down, but he just stabilizes him there. And Horace King cuts back to the inside for good yardage.
2nd down and 4 yards to go. The ball squarely on the 39-yard line, 29-yard line. Even up the running backs. Dexter Bussey. Penalty markers thrown into the stack. Jeff Seaman made the stop.
Flag on the play. Heller and Blair on the tackle.
They've had a great balanced offense coming in. Bussey, 257 yards rushing, ranked 2nd in the NFC. Horace King, 3rd in the NFC with 245 yards.
Offsides against the Lions, which is a 5-yard penalty. He picked up 1 yard on the play, so the option is that of the Minnesota Vikings. Red Cashin.
It's going to force him upstairs. Instead of having 3rd and about 2, we've got a passing situation.
Marks off the 5, back to the 24-yard line.
Detroit right guard, offside.
Detroit right guard is Mark Markovich. 2nd down and 9. 10 seconds remaining in the quarter. Jarvis Blue and David Hill are the receivers in there now. They even up the running back. Greg Landry. And he completes it to David Hill. Not enough for the 1st down. And time has run out in the period.
Here's Landry. He's trying to go to his tight end, David Hill, Lindsey. Now watch me. He comes out. He hooks up here. He doesn't have enough yardage for the 1st down. Goes back to the inside. Jeff Wright, a good defensive play.
Showgirls of the MGM Grand for Color Track by RCA.
Do my flesh tones look right to you? Are my feathers green?
Is my gown purple? If these colors don't look right to you, you should know about Color Track from RCA. It locks in all the colors, including flesh tones. Getting the color right is what Color Track is all about.
Before you see the Color Track system grabs it, aligns it, defines it, sharpens it, tones it, and locks the color on track.
RCA is making television better and better.
This computer is the brain behind an extraordinary new game from Parker Brothers, codename Sector. You use the computer to track down an unseen sub. The sub uses the computer to escape and counterattack. Your mission, be the first ship to sink the enemy sub.
Range 10, speed 9, firing range. Depth 3, fire. All right.
Codename Sector, the board game where you match wits with a computer.
This is brand new STP motor oil. You might say it's like the U.S. cavalry because it fights engine enemies. Sludge, wear, heat, and cold. STP motor oil fights not just one battle, but battle after battle for 15,000 miles between oil changes. 15,000 miles of protection. That's extra protection. New STP motor oil. It keeps on fighting for 15,000 miles.
Personal friend of Paul Hornung, who tells me he is the meanest, toughest, ugliest Viking of them all.
He's a nice guy, really. His name's Hub Meads, and he has been in that uniform since the first game of the Vikings. They open up their franchise.
3rd down and 2 yards to go. As we start the 2nd quarter, Landry still has it. I don't think he wanted it, but he still had it.
Well, he missed the handoff, Lindsey, to the fullback. That turf is just so... can't make the cuts on it. He could not spin out and get out to the fullback in time, and he had to eat it.
Wilbur Summers is in to punt in the first quarter. The Vikings had 6 first downs. Detroit had 2. Rushing, the Vikings had 10 yards. Detroit 8. Passing, the Vikings had 150 yards, and Detroit had 36. Net yardage, Vikings 160, Detroit 44. They had the ball 17 plays each. Summers gets the snap. Manfred Moore moves up. At the 37-yard line, he slips a little bit, and he struggles to the 40-yard line, where they'll start 1st and 10. It was Reggie Pinckney downfield to make the tackle. Just added to the Detroit Lion roster. Reggie Pinckney and Mike McGraw were added.
It's a flag down back at the line of scrimmage, Vince. And I think the Vikings are going to take the penalty, make them kick it again.
Red Cashin, the referee, is ready to step it off.
Number 32, Detroit, downfield too soon.
Well, Detroit had a man downfield too soon. It was Rick Kane. Violation of the kick coverage rule. So it's Summers back in punt formation again, and Manfred Moore still is deep. This time they're going to rush 10. Manfred Moore was on the Oakland roster at Super Bowl time last year. Played his college football at the University of Southern California.
And this crowd comes alive. The Vikings blocked 16 kicks last year. Here they come.
Hits on the 48, and Moore takes it at his 44 and gets to his 46.
Ooh, that's a tough, hard-nosed return, Lindsey. Got to have a little guts to take that ball in traffic.
Reggie Pinckney again was downfield on the tackle along with Garth Naples. 1st and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings. As a timeout is taken on the field with 14 minutes, 2 seconds left to play in the first half. Minnesota Vikings 14, Detroit Lions nothing.
I drive a Ford pickup because my daddy told me they're built tough. Right, Daddy?
Right, and I bought a Ford pickup because my daddy told me they were built tough. Right, Daddy?
Yep, and I drive a Ford pickup because my daddy told me they were built tough. Right, Daddy?
That's right, yeah. My daddy came to Texas in a covered wagon. I had to learn about Fords on my own. I'm a smart old bird, ain't I?
Of all Ford trucks registered over the last 12 years, 93 out of 100 are still on the job.
Pabst Blue Ribbon knows that to pilot a boat through a wall of flame is a challenge that's just not for everyone. But we do challenge you to discover a better tasting beer. Taste and compare Blue Ribbon with any other premium beer. We know you'll never go back to the beer you were drinking. Pabst. Since 1844, the quality has always come through.
Here at Bloomington, Minnesota, 14 minutes, 2 seconds left to play in the first half. Minnesota Vikings have it 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. Shanahan and Foreman, and that is Foreman carrying up to the midfield marker. Picked up 3 yards on the play to make it 2nd down and 7. Ernest Price, Ken Sanders can make the tackle. Minnesota Vikings have won the NFC Central Division title 8 times in the last 9 years. They have won the conference championship of the NFC 3 of the last 4 years. Rashad Far to the left side, Sammy Whiteside in the slot left. McClanahan and Foreman are the running backs for Fran Tarkenton. Last year, Tarkenton threw 155 passes without an interception in one stretch. Penalty markers as the handoff went to Foreman. Illegal procedure against the Vikings. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Let's see, updating with some of the scores, Lindsey. The Jets 17, Buffalo 7, third quarter. Oakland 16, Cleveland 3. That's a third quarter score. Baltimore and Miami are going at it. It's the second quarter. Miami leads Baltimore 14-10.
Ron Yeri was the culprit. 2nd down, 11 yards to go. The ball is at the 45-yard line. Bob Grimm's in at a wide receiver now. Tarkenton drops back. McClanahan gets to the 45-yard line of Detroit. Not enough for a first down.
Yeah, that's a basic play that Minnesota uses. They got 2 great backs who can catch a football. And Foreman, he led the league one year with 73 catches. and McClanahan. They split them, Lindsey. They line up behind the offensive tackles. They go out of the backfield. They work on the linebackers. They either go inside, outside, and Fran just keys the middle linebacker. He goes to Fran's right. He throws to his left. Very simple, and the guy usually beats the linebacker one-on-one.
Third down play coming, about 1.5 yards to go. Stu Boyd and Steve Craig are in a double tight end alignment on the 3rd and short.
Foreman kicks back a little bit. He'll come to his left.
Yep, Foreman's got the first down. He approached the 40-yard line. Arnie made the stop.
Now, they cheat a little bit. Lindsey, I worked up here 5 years with them, and you could almost tell. From this angle, we cannot see Chuck Foreman cheating back a little bit. That always keys which way he's going to come. He comes off to the left side and gets the first down. Good blocking. Now, there he is. See, he's a little bit deep here. And that usually keys. That means he's coming to his left. Good hard running for the first down.
That is the first rushing first down by either team in the ball game today. Minnesota's leading 14-0. Lanahan moved into the 38-yard line. Ed O'Neill made the stop. And a 3 yards on the play will make it second down at 7. The Detroit Lions came into this game calling this one of their biggest games of the season because of the fact that they had gotten off to a start of 2-1. So had the Vikings, 2-1. So this was the confrontation. Vikings got off early today. McClanahan and Foreman on the setbacks.
They go out of the backfield.
Targeted. McClanahan, Stu Voigt. Stu Voigt, the tight end. He's going to be marked about 1 yard short, I think. Charlie West, strong safety from the University of Texas, El Paso, made the tackle.
Stu Voigt, I've watched him up here for years, Lindsey. He really doesn't have great speed, but all he does is do a consistent job week in and week out. He's got a good pair of hands, and he catches the tough pass. He's made some great catches in his career here at Minnesota. And they always said he's never going to make the starting lineup, but every year he comes in and does the job.
Third down, about 1.5 yards at the 32-yard line. McClanahan and Foreman.
He's cheated back.
Foreman. Linesman will mark it. Larry Hand made the tackle, and then they'll take a long look at the possible first down. It's right up there. But apparently it's a little short.
Just a little bit short, probably about the length of that football.
They're going to bring out the chain and measure it.
I bet Bud Grant goes for it.
Dennis Swilley has come onto the field. He is a guard. Sammy White has gone off.
Might be a little out of Fred Cox's range, although he has kicked him over 45 yards. But in this case, he would have the wind at his back a little bit.
Lacks that much.
But Bud Grant, he's going to go for it. Yes, sir.
Fans, of course, want you to go for it. Fourth down, inches to go.
A lot of coaches feel if you can't make fourth in 1/2 yard, you shouldn't win anyway.
They feel that way until the final score is in. Lanahan and Foreman are the setbacks. Fourth down play coming here.
They've given it to Foreman almost every time on 3rd and short. Now, Fran
Foreman, first and 10. That's a patented Foreman move. Up and over.
They had everything stacked on the right side.
Ken Sanders there on the stop. Look at those uniforms. It looks like it's a rainy, muddy day in Minnesota, and it isn't at all. It's a beautiful afternoon, bright and sunny, but the rain fell in previous
Very
days.
warm. It's 45.
You're right. At the 30-yard line now, the Vikings are leading 14-0. 9 minutes, 38 seconds left in the half. McClanahan and Foreman. McClanahan.
He picked up his feet on that one. Good hard running, and what blocking on the right side with Ron Yeri, Wes Hamilton. Watch the cross blocking over there with help from the right side, and McClanahan doesn't even get touched till he gets to the secondary.
Ed O'Neill finally brought him down. It's at the 19-yard line. First down and 10 yards to go for the Minnesota Vikings. Leading by 14 points and driving here. Sammy White's far to the right side. Ahmad Rashad to the left side. Running backs in an I formation. Motion White back to the inside. Chuck Foreman lost a yard on the play. Charlie West made the stop. Second and 11.
Great penetration with Charlie West that time. From his safety, played right up on the line of scrimmage and came across and made the tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
People around the league have been saying for some years now, when are the Minnesota Vikings going to get to the point where the age shows in their performance? Well, apparently not quite yet.
Got 8 guys with over 10 years of experience.
Robert Miller.
Comes a holding penalty.
Brent McClanahan, I beg your pardon. Brent McClanahan. Penalty marker on the play.
Doug English, who's really played well for Detroit in the first 3 games. 9 solo tackles last week against the Eagles. A blocked extra point, a fumble recovery, and also forced a fumble.
Penalty marker against the Minnesota Vikings here.
The Dolphins have added another touchdown. They lead Baltimore now 21-10 in the second quarter with 11 minutes left.
10-yard penalty is faced off.
Holding Minnesota, number 53.
Mick Tingelhoff, the veteran center. Call for holding.
Well, New England finally having an easy day of it. They lead Seattle 24-0 third quarter.
Second down and 21 yards to go. Target it.
Look at that time.
You got in some traffic there.
Let's see if we got this back on the replay. It looked like he did get hit. And Fran is really talking to the referee about that. He wants a flag to be thrown. Let's see it. Tarkett, all the time in the world here to throw the football on time. He's got his man open now, down the middle. Ooh, that was close. Very, very close. Let's take a bird's eye look at it here. Tarkington, ground level shot. Was it interference or not? Well, you really couldn't tell. Minnesota thought it was. Detroit did not.
3rd and 21. They've got Bob Grimm in there now. No tight end in the ball game. They aligned themselves in the slot right. Well, you saw Robert Miller move over, and when he did, Steve Riley moved as well. That did it. Procedure against the Vikings. That's 5.
Illegal procedure, Vikings.
Yes, Fran, it might be changing the play at the line of scrimmage there. At least everybody missed the count there. Charles Goodrum moved, Steve Riley moved, Miller moved.
They called Steve Riley. It was the last man to move.
3rd and 26 for the Vikings at the Lions, 35.
3rd and 26. Miller and Foreman are the setbacks. Tarkenton. Incomplete. Trying to hit Rashad. Ahmad Rashad, who...
Lem Barney was right there, the 11-year veteran out of Jackson State.
Rashad was from the University of Oregon. He set a number of pass receiving records. His name at that time was Bobby Moore. Neil Clabo is coming to do the punting. Dick Geron has dropped back. Clabo. High trajectory. Fair catch signal goes up, and he makes no move to the ball, of course. And in the end zone, it's a touchback. It'll be brought out and put in play 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
That's Nate Allen kicking the goal line marker there.
Nate Allen kicked the flag, and I would guess that he got about 3.5 yards with a free boot of the flag in the corner.
Can I get you something else?
Yeah. An ambulance.
Americans overeat more than anyone. But what's really getting fat is the cost of health care.
Oh, one more piece won't hurt, dear.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans have programs to hold costs down. But everybody needs to help.
Son, when you eat like this, I just love you to death.
There is no free lunch. Sooner or later, we all pay for it.
All of us helping each other.
Excuse me, do they serve clams here?
No, and they don't serve turkeys either.
Pardon, monsieur. It's your clothes. You'd look better in Hager slacks. Or a Hager sport coat and slacks. Even a Hager vested suit. A variety of outfits at prices that are easy to swallow. Voilà, monsieur. Table for one?
Make that a table for two.
Hager, because looking good makes you feel good.
Will you take off your clothes?
What?
You heard her.
They're TV's freshest new comedy team, On Our Own, premiering tonight following Rhoda.
I used to be a nice girl.
A day in the sun in Bloomington, Minnesota. The Detroit Lions have the ball first and 10 at the 20-yard line. Their running backs now, Marv Hubbard and Rick Kane. They have J.D. Hill and Ray Jarvis at the wide receivers and David Hill at the tight end. Even them up now. And Hubbard. And he's throwing incomplete. Trying for Ray Jarvis. Wide receiver from Norfolk State.
Herb Lusk has scored on a 70-yard run. Philadelphia is taking an 18-point lead over New York, third quarter. Eagles 28, New York 10.
Detroit Lions lost their free safety, Levi Johnson, to an injury last week. He underwent surgery on Monday, and he had never missed a Lions game, 59 in a row, until this afternoon. Landry back. Plenty of time. Well, he runs it like the Landry of old, but hits the deck at the 30-yard line.
He's got the first down.
Jeff Seaman and Fred McNeil were there. Incidentally, Wally Hilgenberg was reactivated by the Vikings just before today's ballgame. He hasn't been in the game, but he is on the active list. First and 10.
Now, you mentioned Levi Johnson. Of course, they're going to miss him. This is the first game he's missed in about 4 or 5 years. And, of course, Rocky Freitas, their fine offensive tackle, he had knee surgery. He's going to be missed.
Rick Kane and Marv Hubbard are still the running backs. Or Greg Landry. Move Hubbard over. Marv Hubbard. Just struggling for a yard or so as Alan Page and Jim Marshall were there. Call it a gain of a yard. And it's a diving incompletion. David Hill.
And he's hot, Lindsay. He thought he caught the football. Boy, the referee had a good view of that, though. It was low, very close to the ground. He was wide open.
That makes it 3rd down and 9.
See if he comes back and does the same thing. That middle is usually open against the zone defense, and the Vikings, of course, are a solid zone defense. We get a shot here of Paul Krause. He'll be deeper than most of your other defensive backs. He's the guy that plays the middle.
J.D. Hill to the left side and Jarvis to the right side. They even up the running backs now for Greg Landry.
Same play.
Same play exactly. David Hill incomplete again.
This time Matt Blair played him a little tighter. Had him covered pretty good. It had to be a great catch there.
Paul Krause strolling off the field in Bloomington, Minnesota on a Sunday afternoon with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left to play. And the first half of the ballgame as Manfred Moore has come on. He was signed as a free agent. Used mostly on returns, although he can be used as a running back. And back in deep punt formation, Wilbur Summers for the Detroit Lions. Hangs it up there. Moore takes it, didn't call for the fair catch, and he is wrestled up to about the 45 as Reggie Pinckney again was downfield covering. The Minnesota Vikings Got 14 points in the first quarter, and with 6 minutes, 2 seconds left to play in the half, they're leading 14-0.
Announcing the new Firestone steel-belted radio 721 with 5 million miles of development testing behind it. Testing that tears at tires. Testing that scorches them with the heat of high speeds. Testing that plows them through a flood of salt water. That pounds and punishes them from sunup to sundown. Testing that tortures out the secrets, like the performance of our new 721 tire cord, with 10 strands of steel where we had 5 before. The strongest steel cord we ever made for car tires.
Tough testing proved this new 721 radio. But remember, the safety of even a tough tire also depends on you. Be careful where and how you drive. Don't overload. Check air pressure. Check wear. Check your Firestone dealer for the new 721. It's Firestone's finest radio ever.
First and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings. They have the ball at their own 45-yard line. Fran Tarkenton has been over in conversation with Bud Grant, the head coach. Back into the Viking huddle. Rashad going far to the right side. Robert Miller and Chuck Foreman are the running backs in an I formation. Robert Miller started against the Lions in last year's game. This Foreman got to the 47-yard line and gained 2 yards on the play. Charlie Weaver, 7-year veteran linebacker from USC, made the stop. Second down and 8 yards to go. The fans around Minnesota have been clamoring for a backfield of Chuck Foreman and Sammy Johnson. Sammy Johnson with an average of 5.8 yards per carry for the Minnesota Vikings. Targeted. Incomplete.
Good
Trying to get it to his tight end, Stu Voigt, and Paul Newmoff was there.
Fine coverage by the 11-year veteran from Tennessee, Paul Newmoff. He leads Detroit on defense with 20 tackles.
Targeted surveys the scene. The general looks over the terrain and assembles the troops. Bob Grimm is in there now, the wide receiver. The Detroit Lions deploying their defense here. 3rd and 8. Miller and Foreman are the setbacks. Draw, and it is Foreman, and he is short of the first down. Just by a yard or so. Charlie Weaver in to make the stop, and that brings the punting unit on for the Minnesota Vikings.
Foreman got 6 off the left side. They're going to come up a little bit short. That'll bring in Neil Clavo. Neil Clabo is in to do the punting, and Dick Duran has dropped back deep to field it. He's on his own 10-yard line. That's Duran. Long, high, spiraling kick. No effort to field it. It is one hop into the end zone. Hits the end line. That makes it a touchback. It'll be put in play 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. 4 minutes, 32 seconds remaining to be played in the first half. Now Mondays are out of this world as Logan's Run moves into a new time. Logan's Run with all the impact of Star Wars. Tomorrow at 8, 7 Central and Mountain Time. Out of sight with Logan's Run.
It's just where it is. Detroit Lions, quarterback by Greg Landry, a 10-year veteran from the University of Massachusetts. Next to Bessie and Horace King are his running backs. Got Luther Blue far to the right side. Even them up. King right, Bessie left. Greg Landry. Turn out to Luther Blue, incomplete.
Oh, it's tough on this field to get the timing. Detroit has only made 3 first downs here in the first half. There's a flag on the play. It's intended for Luther Blue. It's going to cost Detroit 5 if Minnesota elects to take the penalty.
Line of scrimmage, of course, was the 20. They take the penalty, and it's going to be a 10-yarder.
Oh, it's a 10-yard penalty. I thought it was offside.
Must have been a holding.
Another holding.
Number 71, Detroit holding.
Greg Herdwig, 3-year veteran tackle from Georgia. Second down and 20 yards to go with the ball back at the 10. King and Bussey. Try draw play, taken by Horace King. Got a yard to the 11-yard line.
And underneath it all was Alan Page. He's the most valuable player in the National Football League 1 year. And Lindsay, I was working the games up here with that Detroit game. It was against these lines that I think that he won that honor. He came up with 5 of the greatest plays back-to-back any defensive tackle I've ever seen.
He is the only lineman ever so honored. 3rd and 19. Landry. And it is complete. Short of the 30-yard line to Charlie Sanders.
And let's see where they spotted Fred McNeil on the tackle. May have tackled him forward for the first down.
He may have. It's very close. That was a 3rd down play, of course. And it is not a first down. It is short. I beg your pardon. That's a 3rd down play. Penalty down, of course, did not count. So make it 3rd down and less than a yard to go.
That clock continuing to tick away. They need a first down there to try to get at least 3 on the board before half.
Got to pick it up right here. Quarterback sneak. 1st and 10. Landry got it.
Landry, the ball carrier, for the first down. James White, tackle.
2 minutes, 52 seconds left to play in the half. Minnesota's leading 14-0. The Lions have just picked up a 1st and 10.
First and 10 for the Lions, and they're 32.
Rick Kane and Horace King. Landry completes the pass, and it is taken by Bussey.
Jeff Seaman on the coverage right there. And it's again, it's just so tough to make a cut or make a quick move, especially where that football, the part of the field where they are right now, Lindsay. It's really tough.
It's up at the 37-yard line. Second down. 2 minutes remaining, and there is the whistle. We have reached the 2-minute warning. So with 2 minutes left to play in the first half here at Bloomington, Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings are leading the Detroit Lions by a score of 14-0.
I was asked to talk about the incredible Black & Decker Workmate. There's almost nothing it can't hold. But the Workmate is so incredible, I'm going to let it do the talking. The Workmate from Black & Decker and nobody else. When America has a job to do, it reaches for Black & Decker.
This year, when you step out on the town, don't just drive. Take off in the 1978 Thunderbird. With its distinctive look and size, its Thunderbird quality and comfort. And it comes at a down-to-earth price of $58.08 with automatic transmission, power steering, power brakes, V8 and more. Flight test the 1978 Thunderbird. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
2 minutes to play in the first half. Minnesota 14, Detroit nothing. Second down and 4 yards to go for the Lions. They have the ball on their own 37-yard line. Landry is 7 for 13, 69 yards. Horace King has carried the ball 7 times today for a total of 9 yards. Dexter Bussey and Horace King are the setbacks. Landry dropping back. And it's complete. Penalty marker thrown. Dexter Bussey, 45-50, 45 and out of bounds. What about the marker? Holding against Detroit.
Oh, that's a tough penalty again for Detroit. The first actually scoring opportunity would have had a first down at the Viking 40-yard line. It's going to bring it all the way back. out the penalty.
Referee Red Cashin stepping off the 10-yarder.
Lions now have 45
Number 71,
yards.
holding Detroit.
That's Craig Hertwig again, Linz. Second time today for him. Now the Lions have 45 yards in penalties here with the minute 52 to go.
Second down and 14 yards to go at 27.
3:30.
Greg Landry. Got the pass off on the screen left. It's taken by Horace King, and he gets up to the 34, 35-yard line.
Got a report that Kenny Stabler is out of the game against Cleveland. Oakland leaves Cleveland in the fourth quarter, 19-3. He's been roughed up. How can you rough up that big dude? I don't think he minds that.
1 minute, 25 seconds. Third down and 6 yards to go at the 35-yard line. Luther Blue comes to the right side. Jarvis to the left side. Bussey and King in the setbacks for Greg Landry. Incomplete. Try to get it to Ray Jarvis. Incompletion stops the clock. 1:05.
That's Paul Krause standing right there in his free safety position. He was just primed to really give it to Jarvis, and I think Jarvis kind of saw him out of the corner of his eye.
Landry is going off as the punting unit has come on now for the Detroit Lions.
Ladies and gentlemen, reminder to pick up your souvenir copy of the new White Yearbook for 16 years on sale today throughout the state.
Landry now 8 out of 15 for 77 yards, Lindsay. And of course, started off, we had some fireworks early. Vikings scored on the first 2 possessions they had the football, and since then, well, it's been a miserable struggle.
CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday at 4:30 p.m.
Oh, what a great race. $300,000 Jockey Club Gold Cup, the Chinucci Cup coming up with Nadia Comaneci and Nellie Kim of the Soviet Union.
And then the world's strongest men.
And I'm not in there again. I didn't get invited.
Competitors will attempt to crank a 100-pound weight plus 10 pounds of equipment 10 feet off the ground as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir. I'd like to see Ed White get into that. Right guard. I think he won CBS's wrist competition and known to be probably the strongest man in the NFL. He might do pretty good in that.
Right, very well. We'll resume here now with the Detroit Lions. In possession of the ball, 4th down. Have the ball on their own 36. Manfred Moore is dropped back to receive the expected punt of Wilbur Summers from Louisville, who's in to do the booty.
All right, Lance, give those boys from Louisville a little
My old Kentucky home.
Kentucky home. Sing that every first Saturday in May, I'll tell you that.
Those of you who are not aware, our Mr. Horning resides in Louisville, and now it is Manfred Moore. And immediately, football does draw a crowd.
Leonard Thompson, ooh, good coverage on the special teams.
Back there at the 26-yard line, it's going to be marked. Forward progress is what's marked, and he didn't have any after he caught the ball.
That's right. Manfred Moore does not like to make fair catches.
Time is in set, remaining in the first half, with the Minnesota Vikings leading 14-0.
I think the Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining. Let's see if Fran goes right away and tries to move him down. He's got 56 seconds.
Robert Miller, Chuck Foreman, in the setback. And targeted. Pumps this one. It is complete to Robert Miller, 30.
Get out.
Out of bounds, heading for the sideline to stop that clock.
That's exactly what he should do, Lindsay. And there, again, is Minnesota's favorite pass pattern. He's got his 2 backs lined up behind the tackles. They go out, work on the linebackers, and Fran just keys one of them. You see Miller slipping to the outside of Charlie Weaver. Now, good, he fought to get out of bounds to stop the clock.
Picked up 8 yards on the play, so it'll be 2nd and 2.
They haven't completed a pass to Foreman yet today.
Came in as the conference's leading pass receiver.
Caught 14.
Tarkenton. Going long, the home run ball, and it is incomplete and almost intercepted by James Hunter. Sammy White, the intended receiver, as Fran Tarkenton wound up and tossed it way down about the 20-yard line.
Yeah, White's got the blazing speed. That's really the deep threat here, the Vikings.
Well, you see, 2nd and 2, a great many quarterbacks will go for the bomb. You had one who would go 3rd and 2 a great deal for the bomb.
How about 4th and 1? That's what I like. It's really the easiest time for a back to get open. 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, because everybody's playing a run there. And you'd be amazed how sometimes you feel when you're so wide open to see that ball hanging up there.
3rd and 2. Tarkenton still got it. Did he get both feet in? Apparently he did. Robert Miller got them both in.
First down, Vikes. Here it is. Targeting all the time in the world. He finally picks Robert Miller over on the left side. He had both feet in. Good call.
1st and 10 for the Vikings at their own 39-yard line. 36 seconds left to play in the half. Bob Grimm to the right side. Ahmad Rashad to the left side. Foreman and Miller. Well, that one wobbled a little. It was incomplete. Charlie Weaver got over there.
I was going to say Charlie Weaver is a little bit peeved at himself right there. He thought he had an interception.
Second down, 10 yards to go at the 29-yard line. I beg your pardon, at the 39-yard line. 29 seconds.
Well, it's very evident that the Vikings' game plan against Detroit today is just let's go out and throw it. And Fran Tarkenton's had a real good first half. Over 150 yards.
Grimm to the right side, Rashad to the left side. Tarkenton pumps it to Miller. Fumbles the ball. Lions get it. Ed O'Neill is there.
Again, it's that split backs. It's called A and B circle, and they just go out and work on the linebackers. This time Miller fumbled the football, and the Lions have it. There's 21 seconds to go. They've got 3 timeouts remaining. Let's see here. Now watch the backs. Here come Miller right into your screen, and he catches a little hook pattern right there. Weaver makes the tackle, knocks the ball out. I think Lem Barney got it back for Detroit.
It is 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. The Detroit Lions in Minnesota territory.
3:30.
Greg Landry. A sliding catch by David Hill.
And he's safe at third base. Hill immediately calls timeout. 13 seconds left.
Timeout, Detroit Lions. They will resume 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. As we are approaching the halftime intermission.
Well, it's a good catch by David Hill there. Plus, was just a little bit behind him, and he used his body well.
By the way, during halftime, of course, we'll be hearing from Brett, Irv, and Phyllis.
Yes, sir.
Next Sunday, CBS Sports will present an NFL doubleheader. And, of course, we'll have Atlanta and Buffalo, Green Bay and Detroit, St. Louis, Philadelphia. Check your local listings for the time in your area. It'll be the San Francisco 49ers and the Giants. The Bears will be playing Minnesota next week in a big one. Later that afternoon, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS. And, of course, be sure and tune in 30 minutes before kickoff for the NFL Today. Coming up this afternoon, a big one, Dallas and St. Louis over most of these stations. When play is resumed here, the Detroit Lions will have the ball. They'll have it 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings.
I think they'd like to get at least another 10 yards. Steve Mickemeyer would have to attempt a field goal. Oh, right there, if the ball were snapped right now, Lindsay, it'd be about a 47-yard field goal against a little wind. So They've got two types of thinking here. They can go for the home run, try to put 7 on, or get it down there a little bit closer for a field goal.
We'd said before the game that field condition could be a factor, and it certainly has been in the first half. Landry dropping back. Well, the penalty marker is thrown. A sliding catch by Horace King. Red Cashin will give us an indication of holding against the Lions.
Tough penalty there. They picked up about 4 or 5 yards on the pass completion, which would have narrowed that yardage down for a field goal attempt about 40, 43, 44. Now this will probably put them out of it. Fourth holding penalty of the afternoon for the Lions.
Cashin sort of put it on the wrong side of the 40-yard line, so he resets it.
Holding number 71, Detroit.
Craig Herdwick.
Well, he's having a hard time over there. He's going against Carl Eller early. And now number 72, James White, is in there. 2-year veteran from Oklahoma State.
First down and 20 yards to go with 8 seconds remaining until the end of the first half. The Minnesota Vikings are leading the Lions 14-0.
55 yards and penalties here in the first half for Detroit. That's hurt.
330, set, ready. Let go.
Landry. Going long, and it's caught at the 12-yard line by Jarvis. Time has run out, and that's it. The gun sounds. Being marked at the 11-yard line.
I was going to say Landry is down there complaining. He thought that the clock should have been stopped with about 2 seconds or at least 1 second on that clock. But they say it ran out.
To no avail, and so you see the teams heading for the locker room as the Minnesota Vikings carry a 14-point lead into the locker room at halftime. Vikings came out here this afternoon and got 14 points in a hurry, then held off the Detroit Lions.